Hey everybody, wanted to do a simple topic this week. Busy with a lot of shit going on and a lot of work to do, so wanted to tackle a question that I got a while ago, and then I was reminded of it again just recently. I think somebody else asked it, so I figured, why not? This comes from Unmei, asking, have you ever been invited to conventions because of an interest in your work, much like Gaijin Goomba has, or what is your experience with conventions in general? So I actually don't get invited to a lot of conventions, to be totally honest, but I have been invited to a few, and in fact, I've actually done a few Kirblogs at them. I'll have some links to some of those here if you feel like checking those out. They have some other guests involved. But I've actually been to quite a few conventions in the last, 7 years or so. No, longer than that even. Almost 10 years now, my God. The very first convention I ever went to was Otakon, which is the con that I've been to probably the most. I was sad that I had to miss out on this previous one from like a month or two ago, but unfortunately, since I had moved and everything, I didn't really have time to, or I didn't really have the money to waste going all the way back to the East Coast. Baltimore is close enough to the East Coast, basically. But Otakon was the very first convention that I ever went to, and it was a full-on experience because, my God, I cosplayed, believe it or not. I don't believe there's much photo evidence of it. You'll have to dig really deep into the recesses of the internet to find evidence of the fact that I cosplayed at my very first convention. I cosplayed Base.exe from Mega Man Battle Network, fitting. And I met up with a whole bunch of internet friends at the time. I don't think anybody from TV Tome, but some people from the Fallout Shelter forums, and my first girlfriend I met because it was a long distance relationship. So that was a big deal at the time. I was like, God, how old was I? I want to say I was like 16, 17 years old, I think, at the time I did that. Yeah. So that was Otakon 2005. I met quite a few people. It was a lot of fun. And what else? I met a bunch of voice actors. I met my idol. I met Justin Cook, who was like my voiceover idol at the time. He still kind of is the big person that I look up to, actually. He was there. Yu Yu Hakusho had just finished up releasing on DVD at the time, so I got to tell him like how much I really appreciated all the work that he did, and how much of an inspiration he was to me and everything. It was really nice. And also I sold at the Artist Alley, which was awesome. That was a really great experience getting to do that. And I got to sell stuff with Mike Lucas and a bunch of other people that we knew at the time. We all had a table together and we made prints and things. And I remember I actually made like a pretty okay amount of money from doing that. Some other ones, there were local cons. There was stuff like Icon in Long Island that was like driving distance away from me that I've been to a couple times with some friends. There's New York Comic Con, of course, which New York Comic Con got kind of not really as fun anymore because it got a little too big for me. The big cons I'm not like super big into anymore, to be honest. New York Comic Con and also New York Anime Fest, when that existed, those used to be fun because they were like not quite as big as San Diego Comic Con. So they were just smaller and a little more humble and like easier to navigate. And I don't know, it was just. Nothing against like the staff or anything. They're just like too big for me now, and I don't really enjoy them as much. Let's see. There's Anime Expo, which was the first time I went to visit California. Was when I went to Anime Expo in 2007. I remember I split a room with Mariana Miller and a bunch of her friends, and I think that was the year that Kira Rina-chan won the Anime Expo Idol competition. Kind of one of the big starting points of her getting her name out there as an actress. And then years later actually moved to California, and now she's working quite frequently in voiceover, which is fantastic. And also that year of Anime Expo, I remember they premiered... No, they didn't premiere it. They announced the cast of the new English dub for One Piece that Funimation was doing, and they showed all the cast there, and I was like, yeah! I was like super excited about that, so that was awesome. Let's see, some other ones. MagFest. MagFest I've talked about a lot already, I think on another Kirblog. But I've always enjoyed that one. I did get to go to that as a guest. I think that actually might have been the first convention I went to as a guest. That was cool because that was right after I got my first voiceover role on Pokemon. And that was also the first time I got to hang in person with Martin, who was there, and a few other friends of ours at the time. I met John St. John, got to just do some panels and showcase stuff. I think the Nintendo to the 64th Power collab wasn't even out yet, so we showcased a lot of stuff from that. Yeah, that was a pretty good experience. I remember, and every time I've gone back to that convention, even not being a panelist, I just really enjoy it. It's just a party all fucking weekend, basically. I do remember, I don't think I told this story on the other Kirblog already, but I remember there was one year I went when it was because it always happens like close to New Year's Eve, and New Year's Eve is actually my birthday. And I met Matt Mercer, that's right. I think, what was it? Yes, that's right. Okay, I ran into him at Anime Expo and told him I was a big fan of, I think we had talked over email once. He had seen some of my Nintendo collab stuff, and then I was like, oh, dude, I love There Will Be Brawl, and he was really cool, and we started talking from there. And then we hung out at MagFest when he was premiering the end of There Will Be Brawl, and we hung out, and I turned 21 that weekend, and he invited me to one of his parties with a bunch of drunken people, and I felt like an adult for the first time in my life. So that was fun. He was like, I don't remember what happened, but I'm glad you had a good time. So that was fun. Matt's an awesome guy. If you guys haven't met him at conventions before. That was back when he wasn't quite as massively popular and successful as he is now, but still successful and still just as handsome. And now he's a superstar. Being in Smash Brothers and all that shit. I'm so proud of him. Anyway. Let's see. Anime Evolution I went to as a guest. That was a really good time. That was in Vancouver, Canada. Amazing time I had doing that one. I remember we premiered Nintendo to the 64th Power, which we had like the work in progress version of it at the time, and that was really cool. That was one of the first times that I had like a really, really big audience showing up to see something that I'd worked on, because there was a lot of hype around it. And I remember Audrey Carre, who was one of the animators on it, was there as well, and she was co-hosting it with me, and some of the other actors were there too. I remember we were like heading to the panel, and holy shit, like there was just a gigantic line of people just wrapping around the room we had like the biggest room in the convention center to showcase it. I was like, oh my God. It was so awesome. And I remember, because I think I might have said this in another Kirblog too, but man, this whole episode is, I said this in another Kirblog, I did already. Sorry. The third Nintendo collab wasn't received quite as well as the other ones were, comparatively, but just having the live reaction to it there was like, that made it worth it, because everybody was laughing and all the jokes, and it was a really good time, and it was so much fun, and I loved it. So that was a great experience. Another great one was Youmacon, which I went to, I want to say, for like maybe 3 years in a row. A lot of just great stuff happened. I did guest at that one time, and I got to show... I got to premiere the first episode of Tome there before it came out on 11/11/11. So that was fantastic. I didn't have a huge audience for that one, but just getting to do it in general was really fun. We did also premiere Tome episode 5, I want to say, the following year. I can't remember what the years were. I think it was like 2010 and then 2011, maybe. Sorry. 2011 and then 12, I believe, I think that was it. It was also a great experience. I know a lot of people listening probably know about this, and maybe they were even there for it. I think it was Youmacon 2012. I think was the year, it was the weekend that Wreck-It Ralph came out. My God, that was a great weekend, because so many close friends and people that I cared about were all there to experience it, and just the theater that was built into the Renaissance Center that was screening it that weekend. We went to go all watch it together, and it was a theater just filled with all video game fans and all good friends of mine, and we just loved it. I cried like a fucking baby like 17 times. So that was a wonderful experience getting to do that, and also just that whole weekend was fantastic. And there's been other some of the smaller conventions I've also really enjoyed. I kind of hinted at briefly before. There's one in particular, Almacon, which has invited me as a guest maybe 2 or 3 years in a row now, and they're great. They're at like a college, like a community college center, I believe, and really nice people, always very accommodating, very nice. I usually get to spend a nice weekend with Martin and some other people like that. I got to spend some little bonding time with Chris Sabat and Eric Vale, who have been super cool to me before. Earlier this year at AlmaCon, which I did a Kirblog about, I'm sure I linked to that earlier. I got to hang out with spend some actual time with Doug, and that was cool because I unexpectedly he was doing the what was it, the top 10 like most bizarre couples in movies and in media and things. And that was really cool. And then I got to make a little cameo appearance in that. And then my footage of him and I freaking out in bed with each other made it into the intro at Nostalgia Critic, and that was awesome. So major thanks to Doug for doing that and allowing me to be part of it. So yeah, AlmaCon's great. I think I premiered. I premiered Tome Episode 6 at Comic-Con, and then I also showed it at AlmaCon the weekend after that. I remember had Comic-Con and AlmaCon back-to-back. A lot of people who have seen my stuff that I've done for Little Karibo, Martin, have known that I've done a lot of the ads for Comic-Con every year where they show the characters and stuff, talking to each other. That's been a lot of fun. Comic-Con's that one's pretty cool. I think I've done that one maybe twice in a row now, I think. And that's a great one, so I really like doing that one. What else is there? There's so many. I was really happy that I got to do Anime Expo on the weekend that I moved here. That was really great, getting the chance to do that. So because I think I'm sure I said this. God, literally, this whole episode. I think I said this on a Kirblog already. That's going to eventually be every Kirblog. It's just me recounting shit. But I'm sure I said, like, when I first moved here earlier that I was really happy that I had so many, like, close friends, like Mike, Lucas, and Martin, and other people that were all around, to really kind of make a warm welcome. And, I was going through some rough shit at the time that I was moving, and it was just a good experience, and I'm really happy that it happened. And I don't have a whole lot of other conventions planned. I think I might be going to AlmaCon again next year. If they'll have me back. I don't have any other of the usual ones planned. I'm not going to YomaCon. I'm not going to MagFest. Just because, unless I get invited to conventions, I guess kind of circling back to the topic of not often going to conventions as guests. Listen, all of you guys out there, if you want me to be invited to your convention, I mean, just recommend me to your local convention staff. Make a recommendation to me about it. And, if they invite me and they'll fly me out and put me up, I'll go. I would love to screen Tome episodes there and premiere them or whatever if I could. I would love to do that. But I can't afford to fly out to conventions on my own. When I was back in New York, I would go to conventions that were local, like New York Comic Con or whatever, or Otakon was drivable distance or whatever, and I usually stay with friends and shit. But and now I can maybe start going to more local conventions out here. But as far as the other ones that are out of my range, I got to be invited as a guest. And if you want me to show up, write in, tell your convention staff to invite me. I would seriously love to go. I would have a great time, and I would love to meet people. I love meeting fans at conventions. It's always a wonderful experience, and I consider it a huge honor. So I would say do that. I love doing conventions in general. For as many as I do, I've managed to pace them out enough that I don't get sick of them, and they're always just a really fun, memorable experience. That about wraps it up. So thanks for writing in to Unmei and also the other person. I can't remember who commented asking for this. But in the comments below, tell me, what are your convention stories? Do you have some fun experiences and memories doing that? Have you met me at a convention? Have you met some of my friends at conventions? Were you at some of the same cons that we went to and experienced some of the same things we did, or go to any of the panels that we were on? If you want me to go to conventions, maybe tell me about ones that you could suggest me for, and talk to your staff about it. I don't know. I would love to do that. So yeah. And if you have ideas for other Kirblog topics in the future, leave a comment about that, and feel free to hit me up on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, all the usual shit. And that'll do it. So thank you very much for listening. I'm sure I will have some more cool content for you soon. Maybe Tome episode 12 pretty soon. It's getting close to being done. So yeah, that's it. That's it for me, and I will catch you all later. Bye-bye.